So we don't have a lot of time.
That is all.
And yeah, no, it's going to be a blink of an eye before it's over. So I'm just going to get right into the Q&A.
Sure.
All right. The very first thing was approach the elephant in the room. Let's get it out the way. How was it working with Prince?
Y'all want the truth or y'all want the...
Oh, we only do truth here.
It's pretty wild. It's how many of you have seen the Chappelle Show? The Chappelle Show skit with a lot of that's true. There's a lot of it does exist. He's very mysterious. Like a lot of stuff you hear, he does do it. He floats around. You never see him walk. He pops up behind you, disappears in mid-sentence. He doesn't sleep, drinks a lot of coffee, makes a lot of great music, and very demanding. Sure. But he's cool. He's a lot cooler than television.
I know we had a chance and we were talking about some of that stuff earlier, like you talked about the rumors and work ethic. So what was one of the most important lessons learned from working in that atmosphere with somebody like Prince?
Handling pressure and doing your, I'm not going to be explicit, but knowing your job. When he calls you and he wants you to perform service, if you're there as an engineer or producer, let him know if you know the job. Don't just volunteer because, hey, it's Prince. There's an opportunity to work with somebody like Prince. Because he will throw shade, he will play you, and then he will fire you if you do not know your job. So it was, knowing my job, being on time, being where I was supposed to be at, and learning how to listen, speak when spoken to, read vibes, do your job, and go home. In short.
So now, when you say do your job, though, like you just don't get up, all right, hey, listen, I'm only booked for 4 hours. If it wasn't finished, like, no, I don't care what else you got going on. You got to finish the project.
You had to finish the project. There was times we record for, I think I did a 12-hour session. Just record him on bass in the band, and I thought he was going to be there for 2 hours. So the general rule is when Prince calls you, he calls you from a 3-digit phone number. So we call it the bat signal, and you got like 45 minutes to get to beckon to the purple one's presence.
Yeah, okay, I understand. So one of the things around here that is stressed, and I know I stress it a lot. I tell them you got to break up with sleep. Like your relationship with sleep has to, like, if you just got to say sleep, it's not you, it's me. Mm-hmm. Like, we just want different things in life. I like having eating. Yeah, they kind of see, and they don't believe me. They're like, no, Mike, I like my sleep. I like to sleep in. I don't want to work. Like, I shouldn't have to work so many hours.
Yeah,
but break the truth.
The truth is, you're going to don't dress you. Just stop looking out here. Yeah. Making sure. But the truth is, you got to put the time in. You're going to work. If you really want to get somewhere, you're going to have to work. You're going to put in hours. You're not going to sleep not a lot, but you need to sleep enough so you can still be functional. But you're going to work. I'm sorry.
Now, I know, and it breaks my heart to say this, that you're not a Full Sail grad. However, I do know that you just didn't graduate, and then all of a sudden, here came Prince knocking on your door. Hey, how you doing? I got a job.
It would have been nice. It kind of happened like that. I was a graduate of IPR in Minneapolis. It happened to be one of my instructors was a real good friend of Prince that did a lot of stuff with him in the past, and I worked my butt off for like a year and a half, and he was watching. He was always watching. Opportunity came up. He's like, look, Prince is looking for an engineer, preferably somebody that's unknown, and he needs somebody to know the job. And I thought it was a joke. Yeah, right. So he hooked it up and went on for like a year. Prince would call us, would pack up everything and get ready to go. He'll call like 5 minutes prior to and cancel. This went on for a year. Packing all you. So engineers, a lot of engineers, producers out here, y'all know pack. Musicians, packing up gear, unpack. But in short, no, it just happened like that. Finally I got the call. He sent the address, and I met him 2 days later. I guess he was spying on me for 2 days before we met. And I met him on the third day and I almost ran him over. Well, the short story, we were just coming from different hallways, and I'm going to Studio A. He's coming down the hallway, and it's dark, and I almost completely knocked him over. And I'm like, "Oh man!" I'm like, "Excuse me," and he just looks up and like, "Pardon me," and then he just walks off and he just starts singing, and I'm like, "Oh, I finally met Prince," and I almost bulldozed. Yeah, that's the short version.
All right, but you know, my point being there, and then you actually hit on it, networking.
Yes.
You worked your butt off and you got noticed. So I also talk about, hey, this is the time to put in the work and shine. Like if you just, hey, C's get degrees, that's fine, but you're not going to get the same spotlight as that student that's going above and beyond consistently, going above and beyond, making sure that their work is impeccable, making sure they follow up, volunteering for things that you normally wouldn't volunteer, just to make sure that you let people know, I'm here to work, I'm here to learn, I'm ready to grow. I want to be more than just a graduate. I want to be a star.
Yes. The networking, I mean, that's well put. The networking is everything. Everybody's a potential contact. Everybody in this room, whether you're in different degree programs or not, link up with people. You never know. You can be an engineer, hook up with a business person. They may know people that you may not know within your own circle, and then boom, you got a gig, or something comes up, a placement, a gig, anything. So networking, I know y'all hear it a lot here, but it's paramount. There's no substitute.
So you just mentioned, boom, you got a gig. Now, do you just go and do the gig and hurry up and get done?
You want to.
You know where I'm going with this.
Keep going.
You go and you do a gig, you got to make sure that you're putting on the best gig for whoever. Whether if you work with Prince, you know what it's like to work with that caliber of star. But even if it's just an emerging local, I've got 10 fans on Facebook artist, you should give them that same energy and effort, because that's how you get noticed.
Yes. One gig leads to another gig. It's always been like that. Like you mentioned, even if it's for somebody that's not of high caliber, that's still a resume, because they're going to share the music, they're going to tag the person in it. So if that person is you, that's what people see. Now, if the song sucked, you got to own that as well. But that's kind of how it works. Do the work, share it, and work. You say work about 100 times.
But at the end of the day, it's work. You got to put in that work. Like Rihanna, best song ever. Work. So now, businesses always be considered when dealing with producers, engineers. Aside from price, what are some of the things you feel should be discussed as you move forward on a project?
As far outside of price, invoicing, knowing the business side, as far as it may seem like a hobby, or even if you make $50 here, $100 here, having your business together, taxes, filing out a 1099 form. If you're making money, the I, the R, and the ESSA are going to come asking for your money. So don't try to put that little $50 to the side and think you're good, because tax time comes around, you got to report that. So get into that. Learn about a 1099, just basic stuff. Learn how to invoice. Anybody use PayPal here? Good. You can use invoicing through PayPal if you're not really adept to it.
So, and there is a good mixture. I think we've got some RA people in here. I think we've got some media communications, and we've got some business students. So, and to me, they all intertwine, they all work together to make a project happen. So you mentioned that PayPal invoice, which is valuable. What about Cash App? Because a lot of these young up and coming, business professionals are like, well, just cash me the money. Cash me outside, how about that?
Well, here's the thing with Cash App. It's cool, but there's some limitations to it, because it's not truly documented like PayPal. You got random people sending you money. PayPal is just more laid out. You got dates on there. Even at the end of the year on PayPal, you can actually download as a PDF all of the transactions that you had in the whole year and take that in and file your taxes. Cash App, you got to search for all this stuff. So you got time to do it, that's cool, but.
Now, a good way to do it that I was going to recommend if they were going to do it is you should document as you go along.
Yes.
How much, from who, and still do a physical invoice.
Yes.
You want to do a little bit more work than PayPal. You don't get the same convenience as PayPal and as Cash App, like that immediate $10 in my pocket, but you at least have that nice, let's just say, record.
Yes.
Everything in the business. So when it comes time and somebody says, let me see your books, and you go,
And there you go. It's a lot less hassle.
you spend way less money.
You can spend more time making music and looking for other clients and promoting. It's time. It's all about time.
So I know there's plenty of questions and plenty of stories we can talk about Prince.
Sure.
But I'm going to save that for some of their questions. And I'm going to try to limit that because I do want them to learn. Because one of the things I've noticed about you since we first met is on Facebook.
Yes.
You drop knowledge. I mean, when I say knowledge, I mean gems. Like, I feel like social media should be sending you money for the information. And I think just this morning, you just started hitting Facebook. And what was one of the things you put out there about artists searching for investors?
Well, they're searching for a lot of artists that search for investors. A lot of times they're just looking for somebody who's going to allow them to have creative freedom so they don't have to worry about working. They want somebody that's just going to give them an influx of cash so they can be comfortable, they can work, they can put out the product, they can make music, they can put the product out, but they don't have to worry about a 40 to 50 hour work week, which will take them away from the time of them doing the craft. So it's not all about record deals. Believe it or not, everybody's not looking for $1 million. Now, if I found $1 million, but everybody's not looking for $1 million contract. Sometimes it's nothing more than, can somebody support my career enough to where I don't have to do all this other stuff that's going to get in the way.
Then, no more than I say 15 minutes later, another one from artist managers. And I was like, no, it doesn't stop. Like, you go on these little rants and gems. And then, listen, when I say gems, I'm talking about stuff like, why aren't you working here with, like, you need to be here. I'm putting that out there, right? I'm planting that seed. See me? Go ahead. You never know. But give me an example of like things that you just come up with on a daily basis that you feel beat makers, producers, because they're all out here. Like, literally, I could tell you there's photographers, beat makers, producers, engineers, you've got a couple of business students. So share some of those gems with them right now that you would normally share on a daily basis.
Sure. A lot of them, they come from personal experiences, or they might just come vicariously through what I'm watching other people struggle. So it's never a fix-all solution. It's very interpretive. You can take what you want to take from it. And if it works, cool. If it doesn't work, don't come looking for me. But for the most part, it's my thing is to see people come up. I've gotten where I've gotten because people put my name in the hat for something. And I always believe in paying it forward. You do this, somebody does it for you, you do it for somebody else, and you just let it build from there. And you got to throw the ego out just a little bit. That's what the music industry is about. The entertainment industry is connections, it's sharing. The more smarter people we have in this business, the better. I don't believe one person should try to, protect the floodgates and not really share information. Share what you can. They can find it out regardless, so you're not really holding on to something super top secret. So share. You get a percentage of it. Get something off of it.
You still gotta eat, still gotta have a roof.
Yeah.
So it's good to have that. So now, is there anything you want to share from a technical aspect?
Sure.
With some of the students, because we do have some, we got some people who deal with tech here.
Okay.
They like I said, packing up gear.
Yeah. And Well, I'll put it out in three. So we got audio, production, and business. So as far as audio, file management I'm a stickler with file management. If I open up a Pro Tools session from you and I see audio 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I'm going to send you an invoice back because I had to go in and search for the names. I'm going to charge you. It's time consuming. So from a technical aspect, name your tracks, understand your file conversion rates, understand sample rates, the difference between MP3, WAV, AIFF. They make a difference. Read directions. If a client's saying that a song is supposed to end at a particular spot, read the directions and have the song end when it's supposed to end, or you can get rejected from the project. Music production, producers, beat makers, got something in here? Okay, here's something valuable, maybe. Know the difference. There's a difference between a producer and a beat maker. There's a difference. Now, the only analogy I have is a producer, let's say a beat maker in my mind is more of, it's the person that builds the house, right? They got the frame, they got everything put up. It's cool, you got a structure there. It's something somebody can look at and they can see the value in. The producer goes in and starts, they measure out the rooms, they're putting the cabinets in there, they're putting the furniture in, they're hiring the people to paint the house. They're bringing in the plumbers, the electricians. They're bringing in all these other people to make this house so, is what they're doing. The beat maker's not necessarily doing that. They got the frame. They did a great work to put the frame up. The producer is part of the entire process, from the resources to making sure the song is right, to the artist doing what they're supposed to do, to bringing in people that need to be on it. That is a big difference. Music business, network, unconventionally network, Facebook. Reach out to people. Take about 5-10 minutes out your day and randomly go through pages and music pages, anything like that, and look for people. I take 20 minutes. I do that a lot. Just go through there, friend people, but don't just randomly friend them. Just, have an objective. Reach out to them. Introduce yourself. If you're going to inbox them, don't just drop a link in there. Tell them, check me out. Cordially check out the page, check things out about them, and just let them know what you do, what you're looking for, and if they're interested in doing any further work. And always have a link, something that they can check out as well.
So I normally encourage, when you do that, you want your best material. Because I ran into a situation where a young person was like, yeah, I just put that out there, but don't worry about that first couple of songs there. That's not my best. It's like, whoa. It's not your best representation. Why are you putting that out there? That's all I got. You might want to go back and get some more. So do you have any tips to help them do that process of, okay, how do I determine what's the best thing for me to put forward, but still have something?
Yes. Actually, get other people's opinions. I know a lot of us have home studios and we can do so much of this on our own, but it's valuable to get somebody else to listen to it or before we put it out there. I'm working in education. I love getting kids to listen to stuff that I put out before I put it out there. If you got little 5-6-year-olds coming up with dance routines to your music and they just bouncing off the walls and they love it, it kind of tells you like, somebody will catch it. Test it out first. Do reference mixes also. So if you have like a favorite artist, songs that you like in particular, do an A and B mix. Compare your mix or your song with that song. And it's not so much to see if it sounds like it, but sonically, you want to see if it's hitting on close to the same level. As far as the volume, as far as, levels. Make sure it sounds decent enough to put out there. The other part of that, you never know. And you never know until somebody tells you how bad it sucks, and then, that happens. But get a second opinion. I guess I could have shortened that up in like 2 seconds.
The more you expound and help somebody understand, it's one thing to say, just get a second opinion. But how How do I get a second opinion? Like, so you actually answered the question in its entirety by telling them, look at the people that you're playing the music around. Like when you're riding in the car and y'all fighting over the aux cord, instead of trying to see if Kiki still loved you, why don't you see if somebody loved the music you're making? That's just me. I mean,
hey, that's a good way to do it. Think about it. You own the aux cord, that's like gold now. So I mean, how many of y'all have done this? Honestly, you slip your new music in the car, slip it in there, and you try to be oblivious about it. Just like, man, what's that? Oh, that? Oh, man. Ain't nothing, man. It's just this new track I was working on yesterday called Lovers in Love, and nothing, man. Turn it up a little bit more. Yeah, we do it. It's cool. That's what the aux table's for.
So you came up in an era where music to me was just, it was full, it was complimentary. Nowadays, it took time and effort to build. And now everything can be done in lickety split. Like I call it the microwave season. Like, hey, all right, I got to drop the beat now. I got me a lace my vocals on and I'm out. And then managers and you got aspiring A&R reps, and they're like, hey, yeah, get it on the internet. And then everybody go to the SoundCloud and they call that the business. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, slow down. Is there another approach? So coming from the era that you've seen and what you've learned, is there anything you can do to help them better understand the importance of taking your time, energy, and effort to make sure that the project is where it should be and how to properly get it out there with today's ever dynamic changing system?
Yes. Take your time with it. Go through the process. You actually enjoy it more. It's more fun. I mean, if you go through the whole process and you take time to, don't try to rush the mix. Take a day off or two, let your ears rest, come back and listen to it again. You don't overdo it, but you take enough time away from it for you can hear all the nuances that you may have missed, and then you have time to correct it. And don't waste too much time on it. It's kind of an instinctive thing too. Sometimes you just have to know when it's ready. But avoid trying to rush it. Even though it seems like everybody can upload something to SoundCloud and they're famous overnight, it's not as overnight as it looks. The thing is, they've been doing it a lot longer than you think. Some of these people, y'all familiar with Daniel Caesar? Guy had albums out like 3 or 4. He's been out for a while. But we're just not really hearing him. But it seems like he just came out and they've been grinding out 3 or 4 years worth of material. But the thing with material, your old stuff is always new to people who've never heard it. So I don't care if you got to dig back in the vault 4 years back. If they never heard it, it's new. So you have to keep that mindset.
Reach.
Yeah, don't just be stashing your music thinking, oh, it's old to me, and just stacking up. Put that stuff out there. That's all you can do.
So it's funny you say that about being out for years, because Prince actually was out years before Little Red Corvette hit, and like there was those, like he had a small following, and he came up and he grew with more and more time, and then got bigger, and the next thing you know, we're watching Purple Rain all crying and we're talking about how about a bad bike. And
I touched the bike. I actually touched the bike, man. It sits in the hallway like nothing. Bike from Purple Rain, just in the safe in front of the restroom. Paperweight. Yeah, magic bike.
So, from producers and promotion standpoint, what can they do to help make sure that they're being noticed? What's good ways to get out there that you've noticed that's good without still rushing?
Well, you can always snippets are cool. So instead of always putting out the full mix, just you can put a teaser, 15 to 30-second teaser of the song. If you're on Instagram, put it in the background, let it play. You don't even have to really announce that this is the song you're promoting. I've been turned on to a lot of people's music by like, what's that in the background? I hadn't heard that. It's kind of tight. And I might dig into that artist a little bit more, like, what was that song playing in the background? And it's more sellable because you're not really selling to it. Because we see it so much, right? Social media, everything's always kind of being thrown at us, sold to us. But yeah, just put your music in the background and just let it run. Let people, we get sold things a lot and we buy things a lot, but we love to be surprised. We love to discover something, to be the first one to say, I heard that song on Instagram before y'all heard about it. And we love it. So that's the advice I would give, is to use snippets. And then when the full song is ready to come out, you've already got a format established. Bam. Remember that song y'all like so much?
So now, for all the aspiring social media managers,
Yes.
managers and ARs, snippets, you don't have to do a full blast promo. Like, hey,
No.
look at my artist. She's here. Yay. Why aren't you sharing it?
Right.
Yeah. Gets a little bit much because there's a lot of clutter. But look, so listen, you and I had a chance to chat at lunch. We've had a chance to chat now. I love the gems you're sharing, but I already know. I reached a point where they're like, shut it, Mike. So I'm gonna turn it over for them to interact with you and ask them any direct questions they have, to include the online people. So at this time now, you've got a good 15 minutes. So whatever question you have, Derek Linzy's here for you.
Awesome. I'll let you pick.
I got two right here, but we got one gentleman right here. Gets crazy because sometimes you get the light and I'm not wearing my glasses.
My voice is loud enough.
No. See, you missed the whole admin part. Like I said, wait till your mic is brought.
So it's kind of a two-part question. A part of it is how many different jobs should you know how to do, and which one's more important, being a master of one craft or knowing multiple ones?
Take the second part first. I usually say find like two good things that you're really, really good at, because you can do a lot of different things, but it can waver off. A lot of people are not impressed by that as much because they're kind of, it's like nobody can produce and mix and master and sing and write and do the dishes, and they're kind of like no, that's too much. So even if you do a lot of stuff, narrow it down to like two things you do really well, and then surprise them with the extra stuff that you do. Come out the blue like, I didn't know he could sing. Then like, yeah, I do a little something. And then you segue into that and it builds into it. And your first part again? What's the first one?
What's the how many different jobs should you know? Is all permissions.
As many as you're interested in and that you can retain is how it is. There's so much stuff now. I'm always going back, and I'm a Pro Tools dude, but I teach Logic and GarageBand, but I'm always having to go back to catch up on stuff. It's like, man, 10 more quick keys. Like, goodness, man. Fine. Go back in and learn. Get in, get out. Good question.
I know this gentleman had a question.
I did.
Yes.
Hello.
Can
Do I need the mic or?
Here they come.
I think they just want you to yell, man.
Yeah.
I got you. All right, y'all can hear me, right?
Absolutely.
Cool. So thank you for coming out. Really, really appreciate all the gems, as Mike says. So, as far as networking goes, you were talking about how a professor of yours kind of like watched you for a year while you were working really hard. Did you network? Were you like really close with your instructor, or was he just like kind of in the background and he just noticed that you put in the work every day? And how do you kind of like give yourself the motivation when you haven't made it yet or anything like that? You haven't worked with Prince yet. How did you drive yourself to show up every day and kill it?
The tuition I was paying every year. It's like, hey man, I gotta put that real there.
I just gotta write that hotel real quick. Y'all complain about the money you're spending. Make sure you putting in that same amount of effort to match the money you're spending. That's all I'm gonna say. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm paying that amount. I'm sleeping in the studio. I'm sorry, I just kick me out. But as far as the motivation, yeah, it's just knowing what knowing the possibilities is out there. Like once you start to feel yourself getting good at something, and you just want to share it. You get good, you get a little confident. You don't get cocky. It happens. Creatives. That was a big part of it. As far as the instructor, I was cool with all my instructors. That's what I was there for, was the network. So I got a lot of gigs off of them because I would just ask questions. Like, hey, is there something coming up? You know, I would stay after and ask questions. You know, if they're telling me what you're paying for it, I'm here at office hours. I'm there. He had a question about something I didn't understand in class, and it was a showcase. That's how I was showcasing myself. So network with the instructors. You know, they've been out there. They didn't get hired here just on the whim. You know, they came in with experience in the industry. So why not tap their brains? That's what you're paying to get all this information from.
Thanks.
Utilize it.
Hi, Derek.
Hello.
I'm Julianne DeSimone. I'm with Media Communications. You talk about work, but when will you feel your work has like truly paid off? Like, or have you hit that moment yet?
When I get the invoice. No, honestly, this happened last night. I had a group of students that I worked with in Atlanta. So we produced and recorded them at high school. And 3 weeks ago, we worked on this project. We got them to the studio. They were on B103 in Atlanta yesterday, which is a big radio station there. And we got our song played in prime time last night. And to see the kids live, I had to watch it, but they were ecstatic. You know, these are teenagers that think about the music industry, and now here they are on a major radio station. And I got recharged off of that. I'm like, that's what it's about. That's what it is. It never gets old. Never gets old.
Another question. How do you balance practice and real life application?
It's real life.
Like
Johnny in
jobs.
real life right now.
Yeah, I know
We're in the Matrix, man. I took the blue pill.
But how do you practice, or how do you manage, you know, the time you take to practice and then the time like going out, getting that real life, like, hey, you're doing the gigs, you're in the studios, you're doing this, that, and third, so that you're able to get both sides.
Oh, sure. At least I try to do at least 1 to 2 events a month, even if it's an open mic, even if it's performing. I'm a musician. I do perform outside everything. At least once or twice a month where I'm out there networking and I'm on the scene. It can be like 2 days out the month. As an educator, I teach lessons also, so that keeps me fresh with students, with piano students, and guitar, production, and engineering. That keeps me fresh also. Also buy a lot of sheet music too. I have a fetish for sheet music. Because you get to learn new songs are out. You get to learn new progressions. You anything outside of 1625 for any of the music people here. Yeah, you know. So you get a chance to get the top chart hits that's out, and you get to evaluate it. It's a blueprint. It's laid out there for you. Like, come on. You got Bruno Mars, everything he did from the last year is printed out. There you go. Don't copy it. Learn from it. It's right in front of our faces. That answers the question. Right. Yes.
Hello. My name is Evan. I'm in music production.
I gotta find you the lights. Don't look into the light. There you go.
Sorry.
All right.
I just wanted to know what inspired you to get into music.
Being destructive. I'm saying, like, it's weird. I got into music because I like doing it. I got into engineering because I like tearing stuff up and putting it apart. So when I started off engineering, we would take karaoke machines, and I was doing overdubbing before I knew it. I'd play the tape, record, take the recorded part, put it in a B, put a blank tape back in, record. I didn't know what overdubbing was, but it sounded cool. And then we just tear it up, take microphones out, and it was fun to put it back together. Like, hey, it works. I did something. I really got into it when it just the reaction that I would get from people. If I played a live gig and they liked it, I say, cool, I did something right. It felt good. I mean, it just felt good. You know, we're like magicians, man. We do stuff and people react, and it's awesome. So that always keeps me going is the reaction. And the learning part too. Learning new stuff and testing it out on people. It's like a lab science. But yeah, you know, it's cool.
I know this young lady had a question. You have anybody over there? Way over there to the left. How you doing?
Hi, I'm Rachel.
Hello.
Nice to meet you. And I was just wondering what you think like the hardest part was for you working with Prince, like working with someone that big. Like, what was your biggest struggle with that?
Following, that's a good question. Taking what you heard about him prior to, and then trying not to fall into certain traps that he set for you. For one, I didn't shake his hand because he's a germaphobe, and it was well known that you really didn't reach out to. You had to know all the little nuances about it. Don't reach out to shake his hand unless he makes that gesture. Speak when spoken to. Don't just stare at him. You know, because the person's one of my idols, you know, coming up, and you have to put the starstruck part. It'll last about 2 minutes, but you have to learn to put that aside because you're trying to get continued work. So it's cool to be in all of it, but you have to come out of it and know your job at the same time, or it means nothing.
Can't be a stand.
I don't want to brag and say I got fired by Prince. I want to say he kept calling me back because I was cool, I followed the rules. Stay away from pictures and stuff unless they want to. A lot of times they just want to be normal people. They don't really want to. Yeah, they just want people they can just be cool around and not have that pressure that they deal with when they hit the wrong way. So,
Okay, well, I know we have an online question.
Hi, Derek. Thanks
Hey.
for joining us today. I have an online question from Rochelle. She is actually in our audio production degree program. She has a question about sheet music. Now, you as a musician as well as an educator, did you know were you able to read sheet music at a younger age? Or did that come a little bit later on in life? And she has a very specific question about learning to read odd meters.
odd meters. Okay. I've read them. They're interesting. I was self-taught for about up until I was about 24, 25. I was self-taught. I didn't start till I was about 18. And that was from studying Stevie Wonder's book, listening to music, and I would have a chord dictionary. So I would study Stevie. And I was in the Marine Corps at the time doing this. So when I had downtime, I was practicing for like 12 hours a day on guitar, on piano, on bass. And when I started playing pop songs, I noticed how simple stuff was. When you come from Stevie, everything else is just like cookie cutter. So as far as sheet music, yeah, not till I got to college when they first sat me down and tried to show me correctly. It was hard because I went from just doing it the way I've always done it, and they got the ruler slapping my wrist like, nope. You're gonna have to explain what you're playing.
Did you use any cheats or tips that you could share with us that are trying to learn sheet music?
For learning sheet music, I always say start with intervals. As far as if you're reading music, just know it reads from the bottom to the top, and no chords. Learn chords. Learn charts. Even if you don't get into technical sheet music like Beethoven and classical stuff, just learn how to read a piece of music. Know the key signature. Know what key it's in, the key signature. We're talking about times. Learn what's going on that page of music as much as you can. It helps.
I think this gentleman right here had a
Yes.
question. Oh, where we at? Oh,
Hi, my name is Allison. Nice
Hello.
to meet you. Thank you
Likewise.
for coming.
Well,
So my question is, have you ever have you ever denied working with someone? And if so, what are some things that you look for that's like a turn off? Like, oh no, I'm not gonna work with that person.
Ooh. I didn't necessarily deny him, but I didn't really want to work with him. Just off of, anybody remember Ghetto Boys, Bushwood Bill, and rapper? Okay, I did a session with him. I put his name out there now. I did a session with him, and it was a trial by fire beyond my wildest dreams. Gosh, it was a rough session. It went from, hey, you can't smoke in the studio, to you can't smoke. And what do you say? So that was rough, but I couldn't stop the session as much as, you know, they already paid, but that was a rough one because what do you do when you're trying to set rules and they're being broken? We got through it, but it was rough.
So it's hard to have hungry integrity.
Yeah, you gotta bite your tongue.
Integrity, I'm hungry.
Bite your tongue and just kind of push through it as much as you can, but keep your opinion to yourself unless it's asked. Also, you're welcome.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Hey, all right now, all right.
Yeah, I like your haircut.
All right on, man. Cheer pack. Cheer.
Okay.
Put it in last night.
And man, thank you for coming in. I really I appreciate the advice you've been giving us.
Welcome, man.
All right, my name is Javon Hall. My question to you is, has doing over your career, has doing what you love ever felt like work? And if that ever happened, what did you do?
It feels like work. The engineering portion is, to me, sometimes the most work. Producers and engineers, we do more work than people think. We have to do file documentation. We have to be extremely technical to where sometimes we're not listening to the feel of the music, we're listening to nuances. And sometimes that can take you out of the element, or you're just looking for, pops and hisses, and then you forget about the music a little bit. So yeah, I would step away from it and I would play the music, but I wouldn't do any editing. I would just sit there and just let it play to see if I'm still feeling that. So yeah, it gets technical, it can be work, but the end result is always the fun part.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Gentleman in the back. Oh, young lady, I'm sorry. Look, the lights.
It's the lights, man. It's the lights.
I know.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello.
My
All
name
right.
is Tyler. So I just had a question, where does your creativity spark from when you're making a song? And then I have another question, do you think the industry is more open to people who are young and they start their music career when they're kids, or is it open to anyone who's 27 or 30? You could start anywhere at any age.
You take that last part first. Do not let age define you by any means. I'm not kidding. There's a time when it matters. If you want to be on Disney, no, you don't want to be 30 years old and fine to be on iCarly, man, or whatever. To be the lead actor, But don't let the age barrier. I throw it out the window. I don't care if you're 50 years old. If you're creative, you're creative. Now, if you don't want to put your face out there because you don't, whatever. If you're creative, there's no age limit on creativity, zero.
Yeah.
So just do it.
Because, I would be 17, 18, and I'll see people who are prodigies, and they're the same age as me, and I'll still be a beginner. So I'll be I don't know, is this really for me? I know it's what I love, but I don't know, I have some competition. I would think more big moguls, they would probably look at them first instead of me. But then again, I can't really tell that.
That's a good question. I started late. I consider starting late. So I started at 18. When you said that other thing, people were playing classical music and all this other stuff. I was a late starter. But I put in just as much time as they did because a lot of them got out of it after a while when I was really getting into it. And what's the other question first? The creativity.
Yeah.
Truth. Oh gosh, man, look. If I'm sitting there making a track, I would take an idea from anything. I like to watch a lot of movies when I'm making beats, or if I'll take ideas from movies and I will mute the movie, and then I will try to recreate my own thing to that scene. And or you look at a scene, you can look at a love scene, and you can interpret that any way you want to do it. It's just for movies, kids. Kids are the funniest form of creativity for me because they say the craziest stuff, the wildest stuff, and it'd be like a hit. They say something like "Pippity Poppy Poopy Dop," and you be like, "What you say?" And then you know, hey, you like, like, oh, you know, but now somebody don't steal that copyright. But it'll come from anywhere. That's the fun part. There's no, it's like without.
Yeah.
I just want to caveat on what you said. You can't compare 18 just because somebody's 12 years old being trained. You can't compare yourself to them. Different style, different music. The market looks at all different things, all different genres, depends on what you're trying to do. So don't limit yourself, because if that's the case, you've already failed before you even took the first step. That's just from Mike's perspective.
Yeah. Dead on. So yeah, do what you do, but don't let that hit you.
Another question?
Yeah. Yes.
This gentleman right here. We got time for 2 more questions, and then we got to get ready to wrap.
Okay.
Oh, we got a gentleman way over here.
Yeah. What do you do if you want to like put your music out and you want to show somebody something? You know you want people to take your ideas. How do you go upon showing them to other people?
LOC.gov. Library of Congress, my friend. I do everything, anything. No, I copyright everything first, man. You said as far as how I want to just put it out there. It depends. If I feel like it's something really hot, I'll be like, I don't want to do this yet. I want to package this correctly, like, because they can forget it that fast. And I put this great idea out there, and either somebody gonna take it or they gonna forget about it. So if you're gonna put it out there, do it right. Act like a record label. Package, promote it, copyright it, get your publishing together, get all your stuff together. You have to treat it as professional as you can.
You got that, right? Business students, the same way. Managers, A&Rs, future publishers. Got to treat it right. Go through the steps. Don't rush it. We got time for one last question.
You have one there.
Yeah, thank you for coming. When you're working with a producer and he or she is asking for some certain type of sound, but you know that that type of sound is not suitable for the song you're mixing or you're composing, how do you balance that thing?
You usually have to, the first thing you have to remember is you're getting paid to provide a service upon their request. So if they want you to, if you know it doesn't sound right, you still do it. But then after the fact, you ask if they're open to your opinion. Because sometimes they don't want it, believe it or not. If you're getting paid, do the job that you're getting paid for, morally and ethically, But just address it, ask permission to address it. Just don't go in there and put your own idea on it. Yeah, just be cordial about it, just ask.
Okay. So as we get ready to wrap this up, I got one last question on this end. Working with Prince was obviously a pinnacle, and a lot of people's career, like especially yours, like it doesn't get much better than that. But doesn't also mean it stops.
Oh, no.
So I know you do production work, and what are some of your future goals from here?
Well, more to education. It's always been a second nature. I love the educational aspect of it. Teaching at a university level, teaching at, from all levels. The education part is always been that thing, because it still allows me to be in the industry and do what I do. Thanks to technology, I don't have to be everywhere all the time. I can still do my music industry stuff and still educate people.
Yeah, I know a university that allows you to do that. Well, listen, real quick, I want to say, first of all, as a fellow veteran, thank you for your service. Second, I thank you for everything that you shared with everyone online. If you don't, please, I'm allowing you to give your social media to everybody so that y'all can follow him. Trust me, it is gym after gym. I don't care what aspect of this industry you're trying to get into. He shares something that you can pull from, and I appreciate that. So, can you give your social media for them to follow?
It's Derek. I'm happy to spell it first. DEREK. Last name LINZY.
And that's on Instagram,
That's
Facebook.
Yep, that's Facebook. It's the same on Instagram. Just look for the picture with the black and white, hold the guitar. Anything other than that, I don't know.
Work me. So, now that we got that out the way, I want to thank you on behalf of Full Sail faculty, staff, and students. We appreciate your time. I know it took, you came out here all the way from Atlanta. I appreciate it. It's great. Been a great time having you. I look forward to having you back. I'll say when I start scheduling another one.
You gotta want me back.
We gotta get you a job here somehow.
See what happens. I don't pull the strings, but it's fun. String pulls.
All right. Thank you again, everybody online. I thank you for your time and attention in classes. I really appreciate you coming out and supporting. I know we've got some alumni in here, so by all means, will you be able to stick around for a couple of pictures and stuff like that? I know we're gonna do that out in the hall, 3B. Plenty of light, much better. And then if you have any additional questions, thank you again. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Full Sail on Air.
Enjoy it, man. Thanks for having me.